At H hour, 10:30 p.m., the buses unloaded. Through the doors came soldiers, supplies, and medical equipment, followed by 2 large-screen televisions. One was placed in the hall next to the extension cord, 10 feet down from Fritz's classroom. The other went into the converted classroom. "We're using the conference room tonight," said Colonel Mitchell. "We still have our connections in place, including the secure comms. The second TV will pick up surveillance from a couple of sources." They handed the room signs to a lieutenant and pointed to the room they would use for medics. "Colonel," asked Fritz, "are you expecting trouble? The president sounded worried to me." "He was adamant," said the colonel. "He said they all agreed, but there's too little protection, only a handful of agents. Our only intel is from the AWACS plane overhead." "Have you got maps?" asked Fritz. "Here's an aerial of the site," said the colonel, pointing. "We marked potential spots where someone could hide, one well-placed rocket grenade, and we'll have a world war." He pointed to the photo. "That's where we erected a canopy." "You have 4 spots picked out," said Fritz. "Do you have more copies?" "Jane has them," said the colonel. Jane was talking to Captain Dolan when Fritz interrupted. She reached into her satchel to retrieve the maps. A soldier poked his head from the conference room and shouted for the colonel, "Sir, they've spotted activity on the monitor." Fritz hollered that the mission might have to start early, that something was happening. Jane and Dolan joined Fritz as the colonel hurried from the classroom, his jaw set. "Fritz, we need to go, now. The AWACS picked up what appears to be infiltration. Come look." Blocked from view on the ground by sand dunes, dark specks on white sand moved toward the leaders exiting a large helicopter. TV cameramen set their hookups. Whatever was about to happen would be captured live. "Can you tell them?" asked Fritz. "No reception anywhere nearby." "Colonel, how about the Israelis?" 10 miles away. Dolan said, "Colonel, the intruders have cover until the last 300 yards. They're within range now, about 1,000 yards out." "How much time do we have?" Fritz asked again. He looked at Dolan's new pin. Major." Major Dolan smiled. "Yeah, promotion. Thanks for noticing. They're coming slowly, Fritz. Maybe 10 minutes until they're in the open." The colonel told the comms team to contact the AWACS and tell them to notify the Israelis that a ground attack was possible. He asked someone to get General Beach on the phone. Fritz ran into his classroom with the colonel and Jane. Fritz asked where to go, placed the paperclip, and drew a pencil outline. He asked if it wouldn't be better to bring the leaders and any others back through the portal instead of sending soldiers in. Colonel Mitchell said, "We may have to. The attackers know they're close enough." "Colonel, my group will go first," Jane said. "I'll try to hold them off. Let's go." Activity swirled around Fritz as Major Barclay and her team lined up. He yanked the door open. 15 feet inside the entrance, running across sand, Major Barclay directed the soldiers, telling them to spread out and move forward. A series of 20-foot-tall dunes rose in front of the advancing Americans. A large wall of sand blocked the view of the Mediterranean. On the seaward side, a cave-like hole had been dug and the opening carefully covered by a matching tarpaulin. Adhesive had been sprayed on one side and sand thrown onto it. Perfect cover. Facing the ceremony at the other end of the hole, the sniper had dug an opening, sighted his rifle, and waited. With all the soldiers in the desert, Fritz watched the TV screen. "Look," he said, and ran to the TV. "A hole big enough to shoot from," he said. From the camera's view, he tried to visualize where on the map the hole was. Straight line to the president, he thought. Fritz glanced again at the TV. He watched the president check his watch and turn east to the brightening horizon. At dawn, the program would begin and the president would be exposed.